Hey, in this video we're going to talk about a good way for you to teach a beginner's class. Now when you're teaching a beginner's class, you're going to have kids of all ages and all levels in that class. And so there's a few things that you always have to remember right off the bat. The first and foremost is that your class has to be safe. You should always have your eyes on all of your students at all times. And not only that, you should probably stay within arm's reach of all of your kids. At any time, any of them can come off the step or slip underwater, and if you're not paying attention, you may lose that trust with that student for a long time. Second, anyone watching your class might be evaluating you as a teacher, and I'll tell you this, every parent knows one thing about swimming. It's a physical activity, which means the only way you're going to learn it is if you're doing it. You will probably gain more credibility as a good teacher if you have plans and activities that keep your kids moving and keep them engaged in class rather than having them sit on the steps and waiting for their turn. Thirdly, the key word for any beginner class is exploration. In the beginning levels, we're not really concerned about technique or style. All we're trying to do is to help your students develop a trusting relationship with the water. So encourage your beginning students to explore the aquatic environment around them, and don't worry about technique or style at this point in time. That'll come later. Now, with those three things out of the way, let's get into a good way that you can structure your beginning class to get the most out of every 30 minutes. Start your beginner class with having your students go underwater and reacclimate themselves with being underwater. You can just have your students bob up and down. If they're feeling a little hesitant, you can go underwater with them. Or if you think they're pretty comfortable, use diving toys. That's a great fun way to start every class. Have your kids try to pick up toys from the bottom of the pool. After spending 3 to 5 minutes of going underwater, then let's move on to floating. Spend the next 5 or 10 minutes having your students build trust in the water by floating. Practice front floating using the stairs. Encourage your kids to explore the feeling of being underwater and not touching anything. And that can be done as a group. At this point, you're probably coming up to about halfway done with your 30-minute class. Now let's start exploring the water with our arms and our legs. In the beginning, as you're assessing your students' abilities, you may want to have them swim one turn at a time. But once you're comfortable with everyone's abilities, have your students practice kicking in arms as a group. I highly recommend having your students walk away from the stairs with their heads above the water, then turn around and swim back to the stairs. That way, they're always swimming towards safety and not away from it. As a teacher, as they're swimming back to the stairs, you can follow them to make sure everyone gets back safely. And of course, a great way to end a lot of classes, and the kids love this, is jumping into the water at the end. Encourage the kids to jump away from the wall and not towards you. Otherwise, you may find yourself with a mild concussion at the end of class. Let's not do that. So, to review, a great format for any beginning class is usually the same, starting at 1, ending at 10, and finding where your students have trouble and just trying to push the boundaries so that way they can do the whole thing. First, get comfortable going underwater. Second, start building a trusting relationship with the water by floating, using noodles, using steps, but eventually you don't want to use anything. Third, encourage a variety of different leg motions and arm motions so that way they can get a feel for the water and move around from point A to point B anywhere in the shallow end they want. I hope this helped give you a good idea for how you can start teaching a good beginner class. As you get better, you may find different ways to use your time more effectively, but this is a great way to start. Good luck.